So today we're going to be talking about borders. Now borders can be decorative like this and abstract. We've got a bit of gold happening here. Or they can be informative. They can explore some of the aspects of your artwork. And we're going to be looking at herons and making them something spectacular. Well, they're already spectacular, but maybe a little bit more so. And we're going to be exploring a bit of Gustav Klimt's ideas. He'd used a lot of gold in his work and highly decorative as well, and lots of mark making. Just a joy to work with. So let's have a look at that. Hi everyone, welcome to my Shoreline studio. I'm Sybil Mustick. Behind the camera is Joshua Blanc. Well, as mentioned, we're going to work a bit with borders. And I don't know if I'm sorry to say, possibly for some of you who cringe at doing measurements, because artists, we have to do what we have to do. And sometimes we have to be carpenters, and that means measuring twice and cutting once. I'm famous for that, right? And so I've already started here, but there are some nice little tricks that I can help you with to make this a better process. So first of all, have a nice sharp pencil, a good metal ruler. Now I start with the ruler. Now here, this ruler has got a little edge, and so you cannot use that as your measurement. So go to, if you're, say, doing a 1-inch measurement, and you want to look right directly down at your measurement, and then do your stroke, and do a couple. Now, if you can line it up with your cutting mat here, then you're going to be that much more accurate. And then all you have to do from there is draw your line. All right. And I've already done the rest of them. So then the next thing is to cut them out, because we're going to need the mask to mask certain areas. We're doing a gel plate print as usual, and we're also going to be exploring a lot of multimedia aspects. So this will go through the whole range of from gel plate printing, maybe a little Posca pen work, and definitely some painting. So we're lots of multimedia in this one. Now when you're cutting, make sure that you've got a line very close, but not 100% on. Otherwise you'll be cutting above. So very, very close. If you have a thick blade, you have to allow for that. This one's pretty good. And when I've drawn the lines, I've drawn them a little bit past so that you know exactly where that corner is going to start. Now, do your work slowly here, or you might cut it the wrong way. Right to the corner, and you'll see. If you're careful, it does work. With this long edge, be sure and really stabilize it. Remember, we've drawn that line a little bit further. I'm just inching my way like an inchworm, putting some pressure on. It's a little bit tougher on the long end, but we have a good clean cut. This is really important because you want to have it aligning perfectly, your mask. Push hard on that corner so that nothing hangs up there. So far, so good. Making sure I've got it steady. brace your hand on here. And then inch along. Right to that corner. Ah, phew. I've got a few of these. Now this is cardstock, so it's a little bit more stable than some things. I've tried mineral paper and other things, but this keeps stable. Now we start with just, I've cut it to as close as I can get on the gel plate's dimensions. It's increased a little bit in length for some reason. But I've had this gel plate for a long time. And it's pretty, and I'm just feeling the edge and making sure. So put that down, put your cutout back, and line it up nicely. Should be right on. If it's not, adjust. All right, now you can just take off the outside edge. Okay, so this print is particularly Klimt-ish, if that's what you want to call it. Anyway, Gustav Klimt used an awful lot of gold in his work. And now with this one, I think it will just take too long because we did 2 layers on the bottom and then we overdrew with our Posca pen and then did the gold details after. So that's going to take our video over the edge, but we'll get close to that. So what we're going to try for instead is a variety between this and this. And we'll start with some red, and then we'll put the green over top. So that's a couple of layers on here first. So let's try for that and see how that goes. I have my paint ready already, and we're going to just put a little bit on the side here. Now it doesn't matter if you go over your, your mask in the center. I've put an awful lot of retarder in the paint just to make sure that it's not going to dry on us. Okay, that could be a good start. And let's roll it out. I should say that I usually always do my palette in the same order. That way I just know exactly where all the paints are. And going from warm to cool. Some people use circles because of our limitations here with we're having to work on our light table. I will continue to use a rectangular format. Now when you're rolling this out, be sure and get close to that edge, otherwise we're going to have a gap. So this is why I've put lots of retarder in, because make sure that this portion of the rollout is solid. Now I have some tools, and because our next layer is going to be green, I want the green to kind of show up. So we're just going to do a bunch of crazy marks, and these will read white until we get the green on there. The green will hopefully show up a little bit brighter because our last layer is gold, so we want more of a sparkle. Since I've been working on this for a while, I've shortened things and adjusted things. It's a good way to work with a series when you're doing this kind of thing. Now this first layer is probably going to be a little on the patchy side, but that's okay. I'm not going to worry about it. So we take off this carefully, and hopefully we don't have any bleeds underneath. So far, so good. Okay, just printing that first layer. Now, hopefully our retarder has been working. So here's what our border looks like at the first pass. Not too bad. Okay, now just repeat what we did the first time. And put that center in. Okay, so again, take off your mask, and we do the second layer. All right, so in this case, we're just going to do green, a variety of greens. We just want our border to be a contrast, so to the heron. So we're going to use a little bit of this green and some turquoise, and just go around. And you notice that with the retarder in there, our print was pretty darn good. So, and again. Because this border is quite playful, you can do more with your marks. Let's make this kind of thing as fun as possible. So maybe we'll go to our leaf things. So just do a variety of leaves here. You can do the center or not. And we've been seeing the heron down at the creek. It was on our neighbor's dock. Oh, we've been seeing all sorts of different birds coming. We had a couple of pelicans going past our beach this morning. Sometimes the heron comes and you know, sort of wades in the shallows. And you know, eats whatever, I guess, little fingerlings that the fish that spawn on our shoreline, or little frogs. Not, was it last year, Josh, we saw all those little frogs? We have a gazillion little, well, actually toads, I guess they are, but they would just seem to be everywhere.
The year before.
Year before, yeah. Yeah, we didn't see them last year, did we? So lots of little leaves and things. They won't all show up. We're just going to give the impression. Gustav Klimt wasn't an impressionist exactly. He was into the next sort of way of working. And he started his own, a successionist or something. I don't think the emperors and all that kind of political situation was to a lot of artists' liking at the time. Gee, isn't it funny how history repeats itself? Anyway, so our mask is starting to look pretty colorful. Again, take off your mask, print, And because we've cut the paper, you know, as close as we can to the actual dimensions of the plate, we don't have to worry too much about registration. And at the end, if we've flubbed up some of the corners and edges, we're going to put a border on a border. So you have to be cagey with this kind of stuff. Ooh, isn't that interesting? Okay, we have one more layer to go with this, and that's our gold layer. So, you know, same procedure. We're going to get really quick at this. Do your adjustments carefully. You're not in any rush. Final layer before we get into the nitty-gritty of it is our gold. Now I'm just using folk art craft gold, and we just basically just want a glimmer. Sometimes when you add it to the paint directly, you kind of lose it. So this way, having that, using it as another layer works a bit better. And capture those edges, because we had a few little spots to worry about, but the gold will help. Roll it out with good consistency and a fairly transparent layer. Now again, remove your... So far our edges are holding up very nicely, I'm happy to say. Okay, line up your paper. Just touch the edge of, make sure it's over far enough. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Okay, good. Okay. Now this part here, just with a brush, just a gentle, with a tiny bit of water, paper will take it. We can just get rid of that. It's okay because our background is going to be sort of yellow tones anyway, so I just want to soften it so it doesn't show up as a big line. I have a drawing of our heron, and this time we don't really need to put the everything back in place because I've got the lines showing. So the way I did the heron is I've got the photograph of it, and I just did some sight sizing. So sight sizing, I used the proportion of the head to there, just a little past the eye. And then I just measured off, you know, how many heads there were of the beak. So about from the eye, and 1, 2, and a quarter. So 1, 2, and a quarter. And I did the same with the neck, so many heads in the neck, and same with the body. And that's how you get a pretty good way of, I mean, it's you know, not a fail-safe measurement, but it helps you get proportions right. And, you know, the heron is a little bit abstracted, and that's fine. You don't have to have it totally realistic. In that case, you should just go to a painting and then you know, use other tools to get the proportions just perfect. So now we're going to do a transfer. This is charcoal. Now, of course, it will reverse, and when we print it, it will reverse back, and it'll be in the right position, facing the proper way. Charcoal transfers really well. As you can see, We're going to do, have a look back here. We need this color in the background. We're going to protect the border. And now we've got the colors for the background. And then I'll show you tricky stuff. And then in the meantime, Josh will put on a nice little interlude. And we'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so we're doing good. We have our Heron in place as a transfer from charcoal. And we're going to just roll out the background. And it's going to be such that it's light. Just a thin layer. I put some retarder on there. So, and we're protecting our border by having our little mask down. Now roll until you can see your image really well. And that's good. And we have some time. We have a tool, and this is just one of our little, I think I just got it at Michael's. All sorts of tools. Yeah, we're just going to make lines. And this is just the cattails that it's, marching around in, looking for froggies and whatnot. Probably eats snails, hopefully nasty things like leeches. Probably loves leeches. I hope so. We don't have a lot of them, but inland lakes in BC do have some leeches. And they tend to be close to the edge of the water. So just think cattails, they have they're fairly straight and they bend at odd angles, so give that a shot. So you don't have to worry too much about this one drawing, because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use some medium so that we can get that image off. So now comes the tricky part. And a faster way of working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe away all the, and I'm going to need my reference close by here, just so I don't wipe things I shouldn't. And then here at the bottom of the, so wipe. And also what this gives you is a nice painterly effect, because you're not going to get all the color off. So, but it gives you really lovely marks and things that are left behind when you do this. And try not to wipe the lines out, because you're going to need those. If you do, no big deal. You can draw them back in, but with paint. But don't get too carried away here. I just love his, they look exactly like drumsticks, like a turkey drumstick. But a bit darker, so our red will come into play there. Get rid of this. Some of the yellow you can leave because as you can see, it's in the composition. And just wipe some of these feathery things that he has out. Well, I'm not sure whether it's male or female, so. Okay. Next, we're going to put some medium on. We'll get this out of harm's way. And I couldn't find my matte medium yesterday, and I thought I'd try the gloss medium, and it really wasn't all that glossy, so works for me. Okay, so we're gonna, and it's nice and fluid, and I found it dried faster too, so because the matte medium will take quite a long time to dry out. I've rolled out the brayer, it should be fine. And this is how we will get the transfer and that background layer up in a jiffy. Now take this off. And put your artwork back. And now we wait, but not long. Okay, let's see where we're at. So far, so good. Now it's only been about 5 minutes, so you see the difference. And okay, we have a few touch-ups, but it's not bad. Okay, so now all we have to do is paint the heron. I told you we were going to do this multimedia style, so back to our palette here. And basically we're just going to use, what is this, a number 2 square brush, a really thin one, like a rigger later on. So just following some of our details here, we will paint in this shape. You can add a little bit of the phthalo blue to just give it. And because it's a square, if you need to adjust anything, it's not a problem. Squares have a very nice edge. And then there's a bunch of blue in here. You could try doing this as, you know, on the gel plate and printing multiple times, but we don't have the luxury of that kind of time. And and it was meant to be multimedia anyway, but you could, for certain. And only a few streaks here. And back to our ultramarine blue. Keep your paint fairly thin because you want it still to look like it's a print. And of course you could actually, once you done it, you could place it back on the gel plate to give that print effect, but not necessary, because this is meant to look like it's painting. All right, and it's really dark in here. You get a touch of the red, almost to get down to violet down there, just to give it that really dark look. And a little bit more ultramarine along the side here. And we're going to make the beak more yellow. And that top part is fairly white. So more yellow. And then we have our base color, but for the Heron it's got to be lighter, so we're adding white to that. So here, there's white all around there, but under here it's yellow, or a beige color. It's raw sienna, that kind of color. And then a lot of the neck has got that color. So this is a bit of yellow ochre, and this is raw sienna up here. So a bit of a mixture. But on the bird it's a bit lighter, so. Okay. Now there's a touch of white here and there. So we just take it off the really stark white because it would look a little odd. A little bit too much blue mixed in there. And there's sort of a top of his beak is a bit on the fuzzy. So you could just layer it in. Make it look fuzzy just by dabbing it on. And then under here there's just a bit of white there. And the feathery aspects here. And the top of his wing. And just streaks like that will give it that look of feathers. including down here where most of this front is all feathery. These long, strange looking feathers. So quick flips like that. With some variation in the and that could probably be done in gold too, which is a good idea. We'll do this one with a bit of gold. Now for the background, I'm just going to tone it down a little bit. And we'll use a bigger brush. And we just add a touch, ever so slight touch of the red. And we're just going to curve around the image. And be careful of your edges. And then just sort of wipe it away. We'll make it a bit darker behind the bird and a little bit lighter in front. And our bulrushes will still read a little bit lighter, which is perfect. And swiping away from an object is a watercolor trick, which you can use for any other medium that you're using. We'll just hurry up this process a bit. Just putting in this background, just pushing everything back and making the bird stand out a bit more. I love this brush because it has a lovely edge on it. Now we're just going to mix up a quick dark, so a bit of green, a little bit of ultramarine blue, phthalo. We're mixing a neutral, and we want it fairly dark, and that's for the eye. And a little bit lighter for those our drumsticks. So just give them a little dot there. Okay, and then Well, his legs aren't quite so purplish, but you know, there's such a thing as artistic license, and it fits with the background. Let's just shore up that blue a little bit. And we'll put a little bit of a highlight on the front. Okay, final is a little bit of the gold. And what I'm going to do for your sake is I'm going to crop the sides so that we have a really nice looking bird. And I'm not sure we need that inner liner, but we'll see. Okay, so we're going to just brighten up that eye a little bit. And I'm using a very fine brush. And the beak a little bit. And then we're going to add a bit of Klimt-ishness. So a little bit of gold here and there. Maybe just have to watch my edges. A little on the top here. Maybe down the side. Emulate some of those feathers. That would be good. Especially down in the front here. Maybe just on top of the blue. Okay, good. So the other thing to do, and I'm not sure I'm going to do it with this one. I think our inside borders are not too bad. Maybe use a bit of touch-up. Could scrub some gold into that. Maybe that's what we'll do, and then we're done. I just love our herons because they're so fascinating, living up in trees and you know, the babies leaning out over these precarious nests. So that's what you should do, is do a series of different ways of working with a subject. Try your borders. And don't worry about, you know, measurements and things of that nature. And just work your way through it. It's not so hard. So I'm just adding to the background here with this gold. Just seemed like the natural thing to do. Well, there you have it. lots of multimedia and different ways of working. An interesting border with a little bit of glimmer. Working with a idea of an artist that's used a lot of glimmer in his work and giving homage to his efforts. So anyway, we'll see you another time. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us along. And I love suggestions. I had one the other day I'm going to have to look into. So we will try and work that out. And it was all about paper, so our ripped paper series that we did. So we'll have another look at that. And maybe we'll do some more border stuff in the future. So take care of yourselves and your families. Be kind to one another. Bye for now.